Hello again, this is Arden Kirkland, and this is part 3 in a series of screencasts on the subject of using Omeka with students to build and exhibit digital collections, why and how. This final part of the screencast will focus on the how related to the Exhibit Builder plugin, which we're seeing a finished exhibit in this view here. We're going to start by looking at the example of this finished exhibition, which we already looked at a little bit in part 1. Part of what I just want to look at here is how the layout of this works. Essentially, we're putting all these materials together and creating somewhat of a linear narrative. So basically, what you're seeing here is this is the title of the entire exhibition. You can kind of think of this like in terms of physical metaphors that we can use, you can think of this like the gallery. Then this line here shows you different sections. So for example, you could think of that as being like different rooms, for example. Then within each section are different pages. So here we're on the introduction page. We can go into other pages. And that is very much like thinking about the walls in the exhibition. We'll go into another section here. And let's go, here we go. Here's one page. So we're in the section on 1860s to 1880s, the page for early photographs, but then you'll see that there are multiple photographs shown here. So again, thinking in this case of the items being their individual items, again, perhaps on the wall, if we're using the page as the metaphor for the wall. Now, of course, in all of this, there is the space to add in some additional text. And that's kind of the interpretive space that those who are participating in curating the exhibit can weigh in and really work on tying everything together. Now for this specific exhibition, the final presentation of the digital exhibit ends up pretty much mirroring the physical exhibit. But in fact, the Exhibit Builder, this plugin, was used to help create the layout of that exhibit. So it was very helpful to have this structure to start to play around with where the different pieces would be, how they would be grouped together, what order they would go in. And one thing you'll see right now, I'm clicking around, so really taking advantage of hyperlinks to jump around between aspects of the exhibit. But you can really go through the entire exhibit, again, using physical metaphor, as if you were walking through the entire exhibition. You can use the arrows at the bottom to go to the next page. So that way each item you can look at, you can read the interpretive text, and then go to the next page and make sure that you don't miss anything. So now let's go to our back end view. And we're going to navigate from our main dashboard page. We're going to use the navigation on top to go to our exhibits page. This gives us a list of all the exhibits. If we wanted to add a new one, we could click here. But we're just going to work on editing another one. Actually, we're going to start by viewing the back end view of the exhibit we were just looking at. So if we click on Edit for Fashioning and Education, essentially here we come to an outline of the whole exhibit. So we have some basic metadata for the exhibit. We get to choose whether it's public, whether it's featured, give it tags, all kinds of things like that. And then you'll see how the sections and pages are laid out. So it essentially becomes an outline. And here you really see how that linear narrative does take form. Each section is represented as a color block, and then within each section are the individual pages. Then, if we go to an individual page, and let's find one here that has a lot on it. So when we go to the layout of the page, you'll see first we see a little icon showing us the kind of layout, because there are several to choose from. And then we can scroll down and see what's in there. So in this case, if you see on the layout here that area 1 is a large area for text, and then 2 through 13 are spaces for square thumbnails of photographs. We've filled in the text in block 1, we've chosen our photographs for blocks 2, etc. If we wanted to add additional captions for them, we could do that there. So that's kind of showing you how the pages work. Now, another thing I want to point out is right here, this breadcrumb trail. So you can, this is another nice feature in the exhibit builder, that you can easily find your way back to a different section or to the exhibit as a whole, and to work on another section. Now we're going to go back to the main exhibits page and into another exhibit. We're going to go to Edit. So here we're in the back end of kind of a skeleton exhibition from a project I started working on last summer. And so here's where our Liberty advertisement can start to fit in. So we're going to find the section on Europe, and within that section there's a page on Liberty. We'll click on Edit to get to that page. And we'll see that here there is space for one large image, several smaller ones on the side, and some text at the bottom. The large image is of the bodice in the collection that's being considered and discussed. No text as of yet. Some other objects from Liberty of London that are related. And so under that is a good place to add our image that we just uploaded. So we're going to click on Attach an Item. Now, what happens is all of the items in the collection come up with the most recent first. So conveniently for us, since it's the last thing we uploaded, it's right here. If it wasn't, we could click on Show Search Form, and we could search either by keywords, by any of the different fields. We could search to more quickly find the exact item that we're looking to attach. But since it's right here, we can click right on it, and then we'll click Attach Selected Item. And there it is. Now we'll go to the bottom, click on Save. Now we'll click on Save and add another page. So now we're going to create a new page. It's nothing that we really need in this exhibit, but just as an exercise, we'll add this in. So we have to give the page a title. We also have to give a slug that becomes a part of the URL. And then we get to choose layout. So you see there are lots of different choices of multiple images, a few images, no images, just text. Let's choose a single image with some text. And then we'll scroll down and click on Save Changes. Now that we've got that layout chosen, we can fill in what we want. So we'll attach an item. Again, we're just going to choose our image that luckily for us happens to be right there. And then down here we can put in some information. So for example, I can say smocking, typing, and now we're going to say save and return to section. And here we are back at our section, and we'll see here's our new page for our ad. Now we can go back to the breadcrumb trail here at the top and go back to our entire exhibition. And again, we'll see that it's been added in there. Now finally, let's go into our public view and see how the exhibit is looking from the front end. So we'll find it here. Now remember, since this is not a finished exhibit, it's only showing up here in the public view because I'm logged in. You can't really see it in the public view. So now let's go and take a look at the pages we just made. Here's the Liberty page that was already there, that we added in our little ad. And then here is the page that we made for it. And you'll see how in this view with the larger image, we get the whole image, whereas in the other layout, it was just a square thumbnail. But again, remember that we can click on any of these objects, any of these items, to go back into the database and see the full information and the full image there. So that brings us to the end of this series of screencasts. Here's your final exercise. Just take a minute or two and write down some ideas for the kinds of exhibits your students could create with Omeka. Now, if these brainstorming exercises and the rest of my presentation have brought up any questions, I hope you will ask away. Here's my email address so you can contact me. And also, if you follow this link, all of the different pages, different items that I showed as a part of this presentation are all on Delicious in a stack at this address. Thanks so much for your time.